Hello, you lovely, lovely people. Welcome back. Sat in my office at the moment. Just a very quick video, really, on tourism in the Philippines right now. What I've just been reading. The increasing costs for services, which is like a 25% withholding tax on foreign service providers, hotels, things like this. So basically, what it's going to do is going to cost foreigners, or people who come to the Philippines, foreigners, yeah, more money to actually come and stay here, which to me sounds absolutely ludicrous when tourism was showing that it was actually down here to what it's previously been. And with more and more people, I think, choosing different destinations, this is probably going to be another nail in the coffin for people who is wanting to come here. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really affect me as such because, I'm a permanent resident. I'm not backwards and forwards to the Philippines. I'm not actually staying in hotels or anything like that. And I don't buy touristy things. So, again, it doesn't really bother me. But it will actually bother people who are coming here. People who have been coming here for years. Like my neighbour next door, he's Australian, he's been coming here for 40 years, and he said since COVID-19 the prices have dramatically increased for him travelling backwards and forwards to Australia, coming here. Granted, he doesn't stay in a hotel, he's got his own house, the same as me, but it's becoming more expensive. And also, as well, there's going to be a mandatory travel tax for Filipinos, which is quite high anyway. It makes this country less competitive. That's what I'm trying to say. It's making the Philippines less competitive to other countries. Now, I think if I was to be doing my travelling again, which I very much doubt I'm going to be doing, but if I was, and obviously when you're travelling on a holiday, things like that, you want more for your money. So I think if I was, I don't think it would put me off coming to the Philippines. Put it that way. I don't think it would put me off because there's always cheaper places to stay. Because the way I think is, if you're on holiday and you're only here for a few weeks, couple of weeks or whatever, why do you want to spend all of your money on a fancy hotel when you don't really spend that much time in a hotel, do you really? You shower there, you sleep there. But mainly as a tourist, you're out and about. So I would rather save the money for being out and about rather than spending it on fancy hotels. That's just me. I've always been like that. It's not because I'm a cheapskate. I don't come on holiday to stay in a hotel for the whole duration of my stay. I like to be out and about. So for me, it wouldn't put me off coming to the Philippines. But I can imagine for some people it might. It possibly might. I also want to talk about houses here, meaning I get a lot of comments, about rent, don't buy, don't do this, don't do that. Well, I think if you are not married and you haven't got children, then that could be, I can understand that, renting. But as far as I'm concerned, I've got a family, I've got a baby, a 4-year-old toddler, one on the way. And to me, it's a no-brainer to have security. Not so much for me, but for my family. And look, if the worst happens, doesn't it? We can't keep thinking of the worst. We can't keep thinking, what if, but what if, Stephen, what if? I think if you thought like that all the time, then you wouldn't put your toes in the water, would you? You'd be thinking, oh, it's too much of a risk, it's too much of this, it's too much of that. For me, it's a no-brainer buying a bit of land. It's not expensive, is it? Building this house wasn't expensive. And look, we've been in this house now for 4 years, I think. Building it for 4 years. It's almost finished now, just a little bit of tiling. It's complete, it's finished, it's all done. All the blood, sweat and tears is over with. So every week, every month that goes by, I'm actually saving money on rent that I will be paying. And to rent somewhere like this would be like, it would be an astronomical amount of money every month. So that's the way I look at it as well. For me, yes, it's an initial outlay at the beginning, and you build in, and and materials at that time when I was building this house was sky high. Now they're coming down a bit more. But it's a no-brainer for me to build, to buy a bit of land, build a house for my family. So yes, I can understand people saying rent if you aren't married and you haven't got children. I can probably understand that more. But for me, and look, you could be in the West and your marriage breaks down, irretrievable breakdown through various reasons. And yes, you've got a lot of, I'm saying a lot, you've got more rights in your own country, whereas you sell the house, it's divided. Here, not so much, I don't believe. But look, I don't care. It's one of them things. At the moment, my relationship is very good. Like many other foreigners here who's got houses, they bought land and bought houses. I haven't bought an astronomical amount of land. I haven't built a massive house. I haven't spent copious amounts of money. So, for people that say, it's a fool's game buying where you can't own the land. And incidentally, back in the UK, when you do own a house and you get divorced and you've got kids and the house is divided, you don't get half. Oh no, you don't, because the courts always side with the mother and children, and quite right too, I suppose, in a way, because the mother is probably having the kids more than what you would have access to the kids, so they get more of the house. I know a couple of friends, more than a couple of friends, who's gone through divorces in England, and they've lost a lot. They've lost a lot. Not just half of the house, but most of the house, and they've come out of it with very little. Time the mortgage is being paid off, they come out of it with very little, and the wife is sitting pretty in the house with the kids. So, although we can't own land and we can't have a lot of say in what happens in a relationship, you break down, you lose the house, you lose the land. Well, look, it's a chance I'm willing to take. We've been together now for 7 years. Our relationship is very strong. Communication is a bit difficult sometimes, though, Fable. I won't lie. I will be honest. Communication is a little bit difficult. But that's just part and parcel of marrying someone who is not from your country. Even if their English is very good, you've still got a breakdown in how they perceive what you're talking about. You see, how they interpret it. Because there's such a massive cultural difference here. And it is big. But what I have noticed, when you find a good Filipina, they are loving and they are very loyal. And not like back in the UK, I'm not saying all women are not loving and loyal in the UK, but here they seem to take care of you more. Like my wife, she's constantly on me all the time, like chucking me food all the time, and I'm not a big eater, never have been. And I'm not a person that thinks, right, it's 12 o'clock, I've got to eat now, otherwise I'm going to die. I'm not one of them people like they are here. I can get by on what I get by on. I'm more of a picker, I'm not a person who does a big dinner, sits down in front of it and scoffs that down and has to sleep for 2 hours. I'm not one of them people. But my wife, she's, oh, have you eaten? Well, no, I haven't eaten yet, Mary, because I'm not hungry. If I was hungry, I would eat. When I'm, I don't eat unless I'm hungry. I don't eat for time schedules. I just simply don't. Now, as far as I'm concerned, when you find a good woman here, you've probably got that woman for life. And the kids here as well, People say, oh, take your kid back to England. Why? I think, well, there's more opportunities. Yeah, maybe there is. Maybe there is more opportunities to earn big money. But what's the point in going back to a country when they'd be probably sat on video, computer games? At least here, my son, we go out in the woods, we go out to the river, we go out to the ocean. He's doing what I used to do when I was young, before computers took over, before all of these things that are meant to be bettering people's lives, before they even existed. So my son now is living my life, what I used to do, going out and making things out of nothing, being kids, being creative and constructive, rather than being sat on a bloody screen in front of you and playing games. My son will have a better life here. Yes, he will be a dual national, and when he comes of age, if he wants to go to England, he can. It's his choice. He can, because he will be a dual national. But as for now, the most important thing for me, and is this year my son starts school, is go to a private school. And he will go to a private school. There's a school here called Franklin School, and the police send their children there. People, So my son's going to go there. We've already been there. We've paid the fees. He's ready to start this year in the second semester. And as long as you give your children a good education, as best as you possibly can, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. But right now, my son is better off here than in England. And is it England anymore? Is it England anymore? I see the trouble. I see the violence that's happening in England. I see the unsettlement that's happening. I watch the news. And England is not like it was. It's purely not. And I think there is more racism now in England as well, which is a terrible thing. There is no place for racism in this world. There is no place for it, as far as I'm concerned. To be indiscriminate, there is no place for that. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your religion. I'm not religious. I haven't got a religion, but I respect people's religion. It doesn't matter what religion they are. I do respect it. My wife is very religious, but I'm not. But that doesn't mean to say I shrug it off and say, well, I don't believe, so why do you believe? No, I don't. I sit and listen. I sometimes even go to church. I'm not a hypocrite, but I sometimes go to church with my wife and my son and things like that, and I sit through the service. I think it's very relaxing when they sing in and that. But the world is becoming a very volatile place right now. It really is. Everywhere you look, there's trouble. And there's always been trouble around the world, but more so now. More so now. And at least here in the Philippines, it's we don't have to face those problems that my friends are facing in England. They're struggling every month to pay bills, to do this, to do that. At least I don't struggle here. I live quite a good life here. If I was in England, I would have to work like a dog until I got my pension. And even then it wouldn't be enough. But here I can have a good life. That's all I've got to say today anyway. I hope you liked it. And have a good day, whatever you're doing. It's Thursday. I'm going to upload this video a bit later on today. And thank you for listening. Take good care, people. God bless you all. I'm not religious, but God bless you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.